Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In tonight's video I just want to discuss another really exciting technology, and that's IOTA. So IOTA is basically aiming to be a third generation cryptocurrency, and by now you're probably familiar with the idea of blockchains and how they work, but IOTA is aiming to be a permissionless open source distributed ledger that uses Tangle technology rather than a blockchain, and I'll dive into exactly what that is as we move through this video, but for now I'll just touch on the team behind it and a bit of quick history behind IOTA. So the IOTA Foundation is a German team, a non-profit organisation founded in 2015. They had their ICO in 2015, only raised $500,000, and in terms of how much ICOs are raising today, okay, that's a minimal amount. Developers of the IOTA Foundation got 0 tokens in this crowd sale. So again, those little things, non-profit, 0 tokens for developers, okay, it shows to me that these guys are focused on the technology rather than the money side of things. So now, when we look at CoinMarketCap and on exchanges, you're going to see IOTA listed as Mega IOTA, and that represents 1 million IOTA. And rather than Bitcoin, which uses 8 decimal places for divisibility purposes, IOTA has a total supply of 2.7 peta IOTA, and that's a 10 with 15 zeros behind it. So a huge supply, and that's the reason for that huge supply is the fact they want the minimal unit to be 1 IOTA rather than decimal places. So you are going to see that used, and that's just for the sake of having round numbers. The entire supply is pre-mined, and that's important when we get into the technology because miners aren't involved as they are with Bitcoin and blockchain technology, but just keep that in mind, that large total supply that's already pre-mined for purposes of the technology. So now IOTA is aiming to be the backbone of the Internet of Things. So by now you're probably familiar with this idea of machine-to-machine communication, okay? IOTA want to be that settlement layer and that backbone for all these digital devices talking to each other, and that's their aim if they can scale this project successfully. Now that technology behind it, known as a directed acyclic graph, is different to a blockchain where in a blockchain we just get transactions bundled into a block, whereas here we have each transaction basically creating a new block. So rather than just going one block at a time with miners confirming the network, we have these sort of nodes and they're able to confirm other transactions and keep the tangle going in more of a mesh rather than a straight blockchain, if that makes sense. So there's a few other advantages to this technology, and by having users confirm other transactions, they can do this with 0 fees, so allowing for true micropayments and that Internet of Things that we just discussed. So no miners, nodes verified 2 other transactions by low difficulty proof of work rather than the high difficulty algorithms we see in Bitcoin, okay? And as we said, that prevents having to have miners involved in this network. So now, there are what's known as permanodes, which store a full copy of the database since Genesis or since inception, and that's a little bit of a different concept. And there are, until this scales, there are what's known as coordinators, and that to verify transactions. But we'll get into that side of things a little bit more as I talk about the other technologies they're doing. And the final thing I just want to mention is by doing this, they're saying that it's basically quantum proof as well, which is another selling point, as we've discussed in previous videos. So here's a few of the concepts that they want to introduce. So the first one is snapshotting, and snapshotting basically enables you to reduce the size of the whole tangle. And I just spoke about those permanodes which store a full copy of the database, but by doing snapshots every so often, you're able to basically delete that database and reset it, and that's for the purpose of light clients and the most nodes in the network, and that basically makes the size of the complete copy of the tangle a lot smaller, as we know that blockchains can take up a lot of storage. They're in the gigabytes these days, and if we want small devices and the Internet of Things to work, we don't want huge databases having to be run and stored by the majority of nodes, okay? So that's the first concept. The next one is masked authenticated messaging, and that goes to the privacy end of things and the end-to-end encryption, which is becoming really important in cryptocurrencies these days, and the more privacy-focused elements can become really important for certain users that want to stay anonymous. So the next idea is partition tolerance, and that's in a similar vein of thought to the Lightning networks or side channels or flash channels as they're calling it, and basically enabling you to run side chains on the network of these offline Tangle clusters and then link back up with the main Tangle and resync up basically, and working offline, then resyncing up. So I've already discussed that fixed total supply and the 2.7 peta IOTA being entirely pre-mined. There's lightweight clients, as I discussed, so you don't have to download the entire copy of the Tangle. And that's a really important thing, as we discussed with the speed and the micro-transaction, micro-payment side of things, and allowing that machine-to-machine communication. So other things that they've discussed, I've already mentioned that quantum proof. They have said that they're going to be using those coordinated nodes until the network itself grows large enough for individual users to start confirming each other's transactions. They have said that in testing they've got this up to 800 transactions per second, and they are claiming that this is unlimited in the scalability and unlimited in the data that it can store if it scales as planned. And as with all these bleeding edge technologies, it's yet to be seen if they can scale this exactly as they're aiming to do. And a lot of these things are great technologies, great projects, but very ambitious. So let's see if they can pull this off basically. So the next thing I just want to mention is some partnerships. So recently IOTA partnered with F6S, and these guys are the world's largest platform for founders, startups, accelerators, incubators, and I've discussed in previous videos how important it is to get those behind the scenes aspects of this technology right, and plenty of support. And we know developers are hard to come by, and we want to see all those behind the scenes things if IOTA technology is to succeed. So the next one is Satoshi Pay, and these guys have been around for a few years, always used Bitcoin, and now they've partnered with the IOTA Foundation. And this statement here, Satoshi Pay, blockchain-based nano payments company that enables digital transactions on the micro scale. And obviously this is a big vote of confidence that they believe that IOTA has a better settlement network for those micro payments that we discussed there, rather than the current state of the Bitcoin network. And that's not to say that Bitcoin can't, and I hope it does, improve those aspects in the future. But for now, IOTA is looking as a really promising technology from that point of view. So we've also heard some rumors of Microsoft taking interest in IOTA okay as well. So definitely some big players out there that are interested in this technology. Last thing I always mention is the on-ramps and off-ramps. So 13th of June, Bitfinex listed IOTA. Just another vote of confidence that they think this Tangle technology is a good concept, and they're going to support it, and they think it's here to stay. So just to wrap up, as usual, all this stuff is bleeding edge technology. Things can go wrong. It remains to be seen if they can successfully scale this network. But if they can, there's truly unlimited use cases. And that's not to say that there isn't plenty of competition in this space now. Lots of coins out there trying to do similar things and break into this Internet of Things technology space. But for now, I think IOTA is a really exciting technology. I've added it to my portfolio, but as always, do your own research. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it around, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll plan on covering other coins and tokens in the future. But for now, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll talk to you soon.